Here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
Can I hug you?
Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 2 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey, I'm David Muir. Wherever the story, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
And welcome back. Nearly 70 years since the Supreme Court ordered an end to racial segregation in America's schools. Tonight, we have an exclusive look at the new monument in Little Rock, Arkansas, to an often overlooked part of this story. It was there that 9 black teenagers led a fight for integration. And now they are shining a spotlight on the little-known federal judge who played a critical role. Our Devin Dwyer has the story.
We believe that the evidence will show beyond a reasonable doubt
The trial is fake.
the defense will call 3 witnesses.
Part of the national.
Okay, here we go.
The lessons for students and the country in this historic Little Rock courtroom.
Turn left.
If you think about our city prior to 1957, totally segregated, the system of oppression was in full force, and then the courts intervened and that turned the tide.
It was 3 years after the Supreme Court had ordered an end to racial segregation in schools, and Little Rock Central High was still not integrated.
Get ready to turn right.
It's easier every time.
Elizabeth Eckford, who was 15 at the time,
Turn right.
8 other black students in the Little Rock Nine as volunteers to raise those schoolhouse steps.
Well, I was elated that we could go to school.
And then you made that attempt, but it wasn't that easy.
Well, the attempt was, no, it wasn't.
What's the story of this picture?
Just a group of people following me and taunting me about hatred.
Why did you keep such a secret?
I had on sunglasses because I have a sensitivity to sunlight.
Were you afraid?
Of course. They had threatened to hang me. Of course I was afraid.
After being turned away, Eckford turned to a little-known federal judge named Ronald Davies, a transplant from North Dakota, filling in at the local federal courthouse. Her lawyer from the NAACP, future Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. After making their case and despite a campaign of intimidation, Judge Davies wasted little time, ordering the state's segregationist governor to
Get
comply
ready
with
to
the
turn
law.
right.
There's no way that the governor of any state was going to interfere with the pronouncement of the Supreme Court of the United States. That was very simple. Basically, really.
Turn right.
If he had been able to frighten me down there, he would have in every other southern state. Raise the ruckus, delay integration.
Judge Davies was a brave man, I think.
Art Phillips produced a documentary on Davies' life.
He did get all kinds of letters, hate mail, death threats, things like that. These were kids, and all they wanted to do was go to school. And so, with him upholding the law and their determination is just a beautiful part of our civil rights history.
Nearly 70 years later, Judge Davies is being celebrated as an unsung hero. His modest courtroom has been newly restored to what it would have looked like in his time, opened exclusively to ABC News cameras. This is your first time back. What a job they've done.
It doesn't look so promoting.
Hey CFW, how you doing? Happy Tuesday to you, big boy. Hope you're safe and well.
Testified to the world.
Nice to see you.
I'm just so glad. I'm coming back to school. I'm just a hollow person inside.
I can see I'm going to have to turn that up a bit more, because otherwise
And
it
it's here
becomes
where Judge
annoying.
Davies stood up for the rule of law. What do you think would
I
have
think
happened
so,
if
anyway.
he had not issued that order?
Then there would have been many years of delay before desegregation.
Let's try that.
Until school start again.
And now through those same courthouse doors walk hundreds of high school students from across the country.
I hope it feels like 1957 to you.
Chief Judge D.P. Marshall telling them he hopes this space will be a tribute
So we've got a load on from Fort McMurray, our hometown in Canada, and we're going down to Saskatoon in Saskatchewan. Bloody hell, that's a mouthful, isn't it? We've got our own Pinger trailer on the back, and we're just in a stock Kenneth W900. Enjoy the trip. We've got the radio on for company, really.
That's certainly a shared responsibility. Our thanks to Devin Dwyer for that. We have a lot more to get to here tonight. Coming up, the latest on the search for a man accused of slashing several women all within the span of an hour, and marking 50 years of the contributions and history of hip-hop, from its impact on social justice to mental health.
None of us thought about these kind of things. These kind of things were shunned because I don't even think we knew how to cry back then.
But next, it's Juneteenth. We take a deeper look at what this holiday means to millions of African Americans by the numbers.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Miller, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
This is ABC News Live.
Crushing families here in Poland.
At refugee centers on the ground in Ukraine,
Close to the front line.
from the capital was struck to F4 storm.
Along I-5 into the
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7 straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter, and customizable to your interests. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience the all-new.
Oh, you're welcome, CFW. Thank you for the feedback. I put so much work into this profile. I really just want to enjoy it now.
I can't imagine what it feels like to live in
Now it's 1:36, so we can only do so much with it. The addition of Project NextGen Graphics has really helped. So hopefully we'll have a beautiful looking game that will give us many thousands of hours of pleasure. Oh, shut up now.
Every piece of energy I had in my music.
If I wasn't a musician, I'd be dead.
This was my best bet to win and have an impact. I'll cry with you. Who would have thought I could help people? I needed help. I still need help.
So much happening these days, it's hard to keep up.
Things change hour by hour, minute by minute.
Historic weather that's now unfolding.
The worries on Wall Street.
We're bringing you the right now. The nationwide teacher shortage.
The right now look at the day ahead. An alert this morning for dog odors and the key takeaways from the biggest stories.
World News Now and America This Morning. America's #1 early morning news.
Today does feel a little different. Early mornings on ABC News Live.
When I got sent to Idaho to cover the murders of 4 college students, it was a story that didn't make any sense. 4 students stabbed to death in their beds while 2 roommates were home.
You gotta think to yourself, okay, what's the target? And how many people would a man go through to get to his target?
I'm Kana Wayworth with ABC News. This is the story of savage murders, a determined small-town police force, and a scholar of crime. This is the King Road Killings, a new podcast from ABC Audio. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
You never know what you're going to get on this show. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yes, Whoopi! Is this mic on? Can you hear me out there?
Behind the scenes is always a better show.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's what people don't see during the commercial break.
Right. They don't.
What happened?
I had no idea really what I was getting myself into.
That day that we walked out, I treasured
Edmondson.
that. I couldn't sit there.
Doing good, George. You're doing good. Oh, yeah, baby. It was crazy. Behind the table. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning, Bexy. How are you? Nice to see you, Chick.
We'll take you there.
Hope you slept well. We're just on our way to Saskatchewan.
Today marks the observation of Juneteenth, which became a federal holiday 2 years ago, and an increasing number of states are starting to recognize it as a public holiday. Let's take a closer look by the numbers. 28 states have now enacted laws to make Juneteenth a paid state holiday, up from just 18 last year. And by some estimates, roughly 39% of employees in the private sector will get the day off, up from just 9% in 2021. Juneteenth marks an important day in American history. It was in January of 1863 that President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which legally freed all slaves in the U.S. during the Civil War. But it wasn't for another 901 days, nearly 2.5 years later, on June 19, 1865, that a Union general arrived in Galveston, Texas, to announce slavery had ended. At that time, more than 250,000 black people were still enslaved in Texas and did not know that by the law they should have already been free. As news hadn't made it to Texas yet, which was the westernmost state that allowed slavery in the United States. Texans began celebrating Juneteenth a year later in 1866 and continued to do so informally for more than a century until 1980, when it was made an official state holiday. Juneteenth is the first new federal holiday in 4 decades since Martin Luther King Jr. Day was recognized as a federal holiday in 1983. Well, we have a lot
Yeah, I slept fine, Bex, thank you.
A horrifying moment on stage, what someone threw at a singer, Baby Rexha, during a concert. And from The Flash to George and Tammy, acclaimed actor Michael Shannon tells us about his latest projects.
What does it take to be America's #1 news? It takes asking the straightforward, tough questions.
Do you believe that Donald Trump should ever be president?
How would your mom about your relationship with your brother? I can't imagine what it feels like to go from $20 million to $50,000.
Yeah.
Are you worried about money yet?
You write that you had low-grade depression. How'd you get out of that?
The news-making interviews.
You said that you had 6 friends. One of them was sick.
Yeah.
Do you have future political aspirations?
Going to the front line.
The search for survivors. How does this war end?
And getting to the heart of the story.
Thank you for being here. We'll be here for a long run.
ABC News, #1 in the morning. The #1
Get ready to
newscast,
turn right.
#1 in daytime talk. Friday nights, Sunday mornings versus the competition. And the #1 streaming news. Thank you for making ABC News America's trusted, straightforward first
Turn right.
choice.
There's so much happening these days, it's hard to keep up.
Things change hour by hour, minute by minute.
The historic weather that's now unfolding.
The worries on Wall Street.
We're bringing you the right now. And a nationwide teacher shortage.
The right now look at the day ahead. An alert this morning for dog owners and the key takeaways from the biggest stories.
World News Now and America This Morning. America's #1 early morning news.
Today does feel a little different. Early mornings on ABC News Live. This is ABC News Live.
The crushing families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
Russia.
On the ground in Ukraine,
Close to the front line.
from the capital, destructive Cat 4 storm.
Along I-5.
It's in the bullseye. Let's go.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7. Straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
When I got sent to Idaho to cover the murders of 4 college students, it was a story that didn't make any sense. 4 students stabbed to death in their beds while 2 roommates were home.
You gotta think to yourself, okay, who's the target and how many people would a man go through to get to his target?
I'm Kana Whitworth with ABC News. This is the story of savage murders, a determined small-town police force, and a scholar of crime. This is The King Road Killings, a new podcast from ABC Audio. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
Get ready, America, every Friday. The hottest trends, styles, and must-have. What's the right stuff to buy right now? I really love that. It's time to buy the right stuff. Yes, and save big time, too. The right stuff. Friday.
Hey Cody, how you doing? Nice to see you, man.
Thanks so much for staying with us.
Thank you everybody for joining. Hope you enjoy.
ABC News Live Prime with Lindsay Davis. Streaming weeknights.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show
for a suspect in multiple subway slashings, and a concert ends with a singer being taken to the hospital. These stories and more in tonight's rundown.
Dramatic video from Florida shows good Samaritans performing a rescue at a houseboat. The houseboat was capsizing during rough weather in Panama City.
Yeah, I'm very well, Lama, thank you, my duck.
Jumping onto the sinking houseboat to help get
Loving
those
my
on board.
American truck, just
Another
saying.
video shows a boat navigating choppy seas near the houseboat and approaching people in what appear to be
Hopefully I should get my new graphics card this week, fingers crossed. Nice big fat juicy AMD.
3 women were injured in a series of slashings in New York City. With police still looking for a suspect.
Not that it'll affect this gaming rig because it's got the little 1050Ti in it, which is awesome.
At the 86th Street Lexington Avenue station before fleeing on a train. Minutes later, police said another incident was reported when a woman on a train was slashed in her left leg. All 3 women were hospitalized for their injuries. The NYPD released surveillance images of the suspect they're looking for.
Police in San Francisco say several people were wounded when gunmen in separate cars fired at each other along the city's popular waterfront in a targeted incident.
Officials say 6 people were injured in the car-to-car shooting near the Embarcadero, 2 of them by gunfire, 3 others injured by flying glass. Police say it appears to be an isolated incident.
Newly released footage shows a fishing trawler before it sank in the Mediterranean Sea.
Tight.
The migrants on board. The footage from the European Border and Coast Guard Agency was
Thought we were going to get fined there.
hours before the
Clearly not.
off the Greek coast and sank on June 14th. The AP reports that estimates have placed more than 700 people on board the boat, with officials still searching for survivors and hundreds still missing and feared dead.
Public health officials expressing worry about Meta's decision to roll back its COVID-19 misinformation measures. Experts have told ABC News they fear the rollbacks will cause...
I have to say, Project NextGen really made a difference. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
And after the World Health Organization downgraded the global health public emergency.
For 136 anyway.
Countries that still had a public health emergency declaration, which no longer includes the U.S.
Singer Bibi Rexha experiencing an on-stage scare when she was hit by a cell phone thrown from the crowd. Rexha was playing a sold-out show in New York City last night and was making her way down the stage when the phone hit her in the face. Rexha fell to her knees and was helped by crew members before being escorted off the stage. The concert goer who threw the phone was charged with assault. On Monday, Rexha shared 2 photos on Instagram of injuries around her eye, with the caption, "I'm good."
All right, everybody, he is a 2-time Academy Award nominee. Many, though, consider him the most versatile talent of his generation. And you might recognize him from some of his hit films like Knives Out, Shape of Water, and Man of Steel. Michael Shannon is joining us in studio today. I'm so happy to have you here, and you have a lot to talk about. Many projects, but including your role in The Flash. So, should we let everybody take a look at it real quick?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
Bruce, I could fix things. You could also destroy everything. This can't be happening. I completely broke the universe.
Hey up, Zeb, how you doing? Hope you're safe and well. Nice to see you, you chap.
And now there's no one to defend us.
The audience has been extremely anxious to see you reprise this role in The Flash, even though it came as a bit of a surprise to you, right, to be asked to do it?
Yeah, I was pretty confused because, as I recollect, I died. Superman breaks my neck. So when I got the call, I thought, but they said, well, it's a multiverse. So I said, I guess I'll hold the bets rock and do whatever you want. So,
Did that sum it up for you? What do you hope moviegoers get out of this performance of yours?
oh dear, I don't know. I mean, I'm really just there
Keep right,
to provide
and
some
then
sort
exit
of
right.
obstacle, it seems like, for the Flash to deal with. But I sure love Ezra's performance in the movie, and I think it's
right.
a pretty relevant story about, how you've got to accept the past and not try and change it. Just deal with it and move on.
I'm really excited about this. You star in this series, George and Tammy. It's getting a lot of Emmys buzz right now. So talk to us about playing the iconic iconic country star George Jones.
What the actual feck?
It's not new to you.
Really?
What was different about diving into
A fucking bush? Jesus Christ. What the fuck? And the car's gonna go straight through it? Son of a bitch. You gotta be shitting me.
And alongside Jessica Chastain, who plays Tammy Wynette in this, you know,
What
she's
the
singing,
actual
you're singing.
feck?
In the live performances, why do that? You know, instead of
ready to
dub it in
turn
later.
left.
Jeez, freaking
The
Ross.
story of these two people is contained in their vocal performances together. I think that's when they really have this. It's an interesting phenomenon because they're on stage in front of a bunch of people. Ostensibly, it's a very public thing, but I think there's something very private happening between the two of them when they're singing. And I feel like if we were just lip syncing,
What the actual feck?
if we were just lip syncing, there would be something missing from the performance. I feel like. For example, when I sing "He Stopped Loving Her Today,"
Hang on a sec. Do you list anywhere, EB, everything you have done, mods and settings? No, not yet, Zeb. Mod glitch. It could be a map glitch, actually. Zeb, yeah. I think it's more likely a map glitch. No, because the build is huge and the tweak list is massive. I have got it, the bulk of it, oh shit, the bulk of it in a text file, so I've just added Project NextGen Graphics to the build, and hopefully that should be the final element, and then I'll list it all for people who want to replicate it. But bear in mind this is back on 136, it's not the latest 147, so it was a labour of love to hunt down all the bloody mods. But I got there, I did it, and this is the result. It's great.
As if you weren't busy enough.
But I should get my new graphics card this week, and that will then allow me to fire up the main gaming PC and run my secondary account on the latest 147, which is just a bit too much for this little 1050 Ti because of all the upgrades SCS are done. So anyway, that's the plan. But I'm absolutely delighted with this build, even though I've spent a lot of time doing it to get it just right. And again, it's not going to be for everybody. Remember, this is all based around keyboard driving. A lot of people like steering wheels or Xbox controllers, etc. So it's going to have limited appeal. And you do need all DLCs up to and including Utah, which is about 5 DLCs, I think. But people have still got to buy them, isn't it? So not ideal. And of course, every fucking way station that I come near wants me to pull in.
And since then, it has become one of the most successful music genres, captivating listeners around the world. Tonight, Soul of a Nation presents a look at how far hip-hop has come from social justice.
I've only got 5 minutes left remaining on my Chromebook. It's a shitter. Right, bear with me a second, because I don't want that to run flat.
The story of hip-hop is just the storytelling of culture and of community. For so long, culture and community didn't talk about mental health.
People was afraid to talk about this back then.
None of us thought about these kind of things. These kind of things were shunned because, yeah, you know, like.
And that's better.
I don't even think we knew how to cry back then.
No, you couldn't cry.
Still lying.
We grew up in the era where they said you had to be hardcore.
Bear with me a second.
It's beautiful that we're at a point in the culture where you can have those conversations.
I'll just pause the live news feed and try and answer your questions. Why 136? The reason 136 is I'm running a quad core Ryzen with a little GTX1050Ti, originally an AMD 2GB card, and the reason 136, well, 136 was the last patch to be released before they started adding Fmod, the new audio system, which was released in 137. And Fmod brought a whole raft of graphical issues and changes, even though it was just a sound system. So 136 or before tends to run so much better on lower end hardware. The minute you jump to 137, you get the new Fmod sound system, things start going a bit tits up. Yes, I can, Bexy. Will do, my darling. I'll bring it for you this morning. And thank you for reminding me. What graphics card am I getting? I can't remember now. I think it's an AMD RX 5800. It is brand new. It's an 8GB. And it's a great card for 1080p gaming, which is what I bought it for. Even though I've got a 2K monitor, which is nice. And I think it's really good value for money, and it'll give me a chance to test it out against the GTX1050Ti, which is a similar sort of card, similar ilk, and you can still pick up the RX 5800s really cheap, sort of about 105, 110 quid, brand new, 8GB RAM, full memory bandwidth on it, so fingers crossed. I am also looking at the RTXs, treating myself to a new RTX, but at the minute there is such a shitstorm on YouTube about how shit the new RTX 40 series is. Terrible graphics cards, so I don't know. Everybody's arse raping the 3060 Ti as well, as a piece of junk. Everybody's raving about the new AMD RX 7000 series, so maybe I'll... It's just nVidia with the nVidia Profile Inspector for American and Euro Truck offers you massive advantages over AMD. Although the AMD cards are awesome. But anyway, we'll see. I don't know, so I really don't know. But it will certainly make a big difference to the main gaming rig, because the GTX1070Ti is really old and hammered, and it was well overdue for a decent... I did have the 1050 in there, but it's not really enough for the 6-core 12-thread. And again, the AMD RX 5800 8GB is a perfect match for the Ryzen 5. So anyway, that was the thinking. I'll let you know whether it works out or whether it's a load of tosh. Just have to see. In the meantime, my interest is still with this little cost of living crisis PC. Trying to show the little guy, you know,
Go straight on.
what you can do if you're prepared to lower your expectations and roll back 10 patches. And of course, rolling back to 136 has many advantages. So a lot of the truck engines and sounds for 136 are on the old sound system, not the new Fmod, which means there's some amazing engine sounds, because 136 was very mature in its pre-Fmod state. It has so many advantages. Things like Project NextGen Graphics are 100% free of charge on 136. You jump to 137, they instantly become a paid mod, so you can only pay real money for it. It's little things like that. You know, there's lots of little advantages to rolling back to 136. Of course, there's disadvantages. A lot of the map DLCs are not compatible. You know, you won't have a lot of the newer truck releases available. You know, you're going to have to, things like the Freightliner Cascadia, the International 9900i, in 136 they're external mod trucks, whereas 147 they're in the game out the box. So there's advantages and disadvantages on all sides. But if you've only got a small computer and you want to do YouTube content, as I say, if you lower your expectation and roll back a few patches, you can do some really nice content. At the minute, again, I'm only in 720p. I might have a go at doing it in 1080 because I think the 1050 will do 1080. We'll have to see. Yeah, Chromebook's fantastic, Bex, thank you. You have a 4070 by Zotac and it is better than my old 2080. So horses for courses on what works for you. YouTube people like a bit of click. Yeah, they do, Zeb, they do. But for me, there's too many people doing it for it to just be clickbait. If it was one or two, well, take it with a pinch of salt. But the thing is, there's so many people arse raping the new nVidia cards. And the other thing they're saying is that nVidia cards are really getting stingy on VRAM, especially the 1080p cards. You know, if you're doing 2 or 4K cards, yeah, fine, they're as good as anything else. But apparently AMD are giving a lot more VRAM on an equivalent card versus nVidia. Now, I haven't looked at it. That's only anecdotal YouTube comments. That's not me looking at it. But again, I have heard it from a lot of different YouTubers. Some of them quite well respected. And yes, some of them obviously too Bob Flybanites. So I'd have to look into that myself. I just fancied a real change for the main gaming rig, so I'm going to go to AMD. I know you had a shit experience, Zeb, when you went to the Vega, but I've got my fingers crossed that this new RX will be a really nice bit of kit for the money. And bearing in mind I'm only aiming at doing 1080p gaming streaming, which it should be more than capable of. So we'll see how we get on with that. What the hell have we got left? 5 hours. We got 3 hours, we should be good. Shouldn't need to sleep till we get there. You want us 12 gig of VRAM? Still use the old power supply cable, use just one, yeah. Well, I don't know if that's a valid comment or not, Zeb. I mean, you've actually got an nVidia RTX card, I haven't. So I can't compare. As I say, I'm going to start with the... I guess really, if I'm going to do a direct comparison with the RX 5800, I really need to buy a 3060 Ti if I want to be like for like, because that's really what the RX is. You know, your sort of card, well, you'd probably be looking at an RX 7000. And again, I don't know what the standard VRAM of an RX 7000 is, but I am told that it's a lot more than an RTX 4 series, so I don't know. We'll have to see, big boy. But it's keeping me interested. It's nice to have a play and nice to get some new kit. I've just upgraded this little PC, so it's now got a 1TB SSD for storage and a 480 gig SSD for boot. So, you know, I am getting to the stage where this little PC is going beyond a, you know, it was a 480 gig SATA SSD, a 2GB AMD graphics card, and 16 gigs of RAM. And now it's, you know, 1.5 TB GTX1050Ti and 16 gig of RAM. So it's actually pushing it a bit to say it's, you know, but I mean, it is a very super budget entry level. But you know, in the real world, if you've got lesser specs, then you might be better off on GeForce Now, which again this PC's got. And I can play the latest 147 on GeForce Now, no issues whatsoever. So it's horses for courses, but I wanted to play it locally as opposed to on GeForce for the little PC. But anyway, we've got the best of all worlds at the minute. Oh. Yeah, that's right, Zeb. So, you know, like I say, I really need to get myself a 3060 Ti if I'm going to compare it with the RX 58. And then if I wanted to do a comparison with your sort of card, well, I'd have to buy an RX 7000, which I can do, but you know, I don't need a pile of graphics cards sat here doing nothing. So I went for the RX. 1080 is good enough for me, even though I can do 2K. 4K, well, that's out of my price range, because I'd have to literally gut and rebuild the PC from scratch for 4K gaming, that's for sure. So yeah, I'm going to focus on 1080p, 720p on the little PC, 1080p on the bigger gaming rig, and we'll see how we get on. Be interesting to see how that AMD RX fares, especially with a variety of games, not just the trucking or the farming, but you know, World of Warships and all the rest of it. We'll see how it. I still maintain that the AMD, and I'm only talking about the RX series of cards now, not the Vegas or anything else, but the RX do seem to deliver a much punchier, clearer image than the nVidia. But that's purely anecdotal, personal opinion. It's not fact in any way, shape or form. But I do get that genuine. The little RX 460 that I've got is a lot punchier than the GTX1050, for argument's sake. Interesting. But then again, you've got to factor into account the monitors I'm using and blah blah blah. But it's really kind of got me captivated, all this graphic card malarkey. You know, what is the best? I mean, I don't think there's a tat's tit between all. I mean, I think even the Intel Arcs are supposed to be. Now the drivers are all been fixed. They're supposed to be really good 1080p gaming cards. So I don't think there's much between Intel, AMD and nVidia. But I still believe that nVidia is the king, because I think nVidia offers more possibilities than the other two cards, especially with external apps like nVidia Profile Inspector. That really does make such a difference to a whole raft of games. A Multimon config, if you know what you're doing. I mean, when you think on this little PC, we've got nVidia Profile Inspector, Multimon config, and we're running at 100% zoom, which is amazing for the graphics card. It just, you know, whereas AMD, well, even on the little RX 460, I've got to run it at 200% zoom to not have jagged lines everywhere. So, you know, nVidia still has, I still think nVidia is the king. Without a doubt, but I think AMD and Intel have really closed the gap to the point where unless you need something specific or you've got a particular use case, there's not really a tat's tit between them. But as I say, it'd be interesting to see when the AMD turns up. It'll be the first 8 gig AMD card I've had, so we'll see how we get on with it. Whether it's amazing or whether it's... Everybody says it's amazing for 1080p in 2023. You know, 10 out of 10 value for money. It's not the most grunty best card there is, but again, cost of living crisis, meh. If it is all that, then I might have a look at an RX 7000. Something a bit more beefier, a bit more, you know, 500, 600, 700 pound card with a bit more smack in it. But then I'm looking at upgrading the processor, upgrading the RAM 16 to 32 gigs. You know, I mean, it never ends, does it? You just chuck money down a black hole. Hey up, Ben, how you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, so in that case, then it's no better than RTX. In fact, it's worse than RTX, isn't it? I don't know, Zeb. I'd have to have a look. I'd have to. This is only anecdotal evidence that I've kind of gleaned from watching a shit ton of YouTube videos, and as I say, most of the YouTube reviewers now are all in agreement. And again, I'm only talking about 1080p gaming, Zeb, not 2 or 4K. But most of them are in agreement that there's a tat's tit between all of them. As I say, personally, I still think nVidia's king. I think AMD today is a much better choice than it was back in the day. And I think Intel have probably done really well with their Arc series and brought them up to what they should have been when they were released. But again, we'll see. We'll see. But so far, you know, I mean, the difference between the RX 460, which is a 2 gig card, and the GTX1050 Ti, which is a 4 gig card, is night and day. The grunt on the 1050, but then again, you'd expect that. So as I say, I guess I'd have to compare my GTX1070 versus the new RX when it comes, because they're like for like 8GB cards. Probably the 1070 might even have a bit more grunt in it. I don't know. It's a lot bigger card. The RX has got 2 fans. The 1070 is a 3-fan job. So very, very interesting. But I say it's just got me hooked at the minute, and I've never been a big. I've never been that interested in hardware. I just find the whole thing fascinating. I don't think you're ever going to do what is the ultimate best, because it varies for everybody depending on the use case, doesn't it? You know, and you are right, you have to, you know, I mean, there's a lot of YouTubers that are saying the best value for money card you can buy at the minute is a used GTX 1080 Ti Founders Edition. They reckon it's a card that nVidia should never have made. It's that good. Well, if it was that good, why is all the current gamers running RTXs? So, you know, you got to take a lot of it with a pinch of salt, I agree. But it is interesting. You know, and also a lot of 1080 Ti Founders Editions have been hammered in Bitcoin mining, so when you get them, they're knackered anyway. So it's... I think if you are going to compare, you've definitely got to do like for like. New for new. At the very least. Yeah, I agree, Zeb. But finding a good one that's either opened and never used, or has not been a, you know, a Bitcoin miner, you got to be a bit careful. I guess if you can get one, it's a good buy. I mean, I've seen them advertised on eBay, open, never used, 200 quid. That's not bad. If you compare that to the cost of a brand new RTX 3060.
Turn right.
And I think, if I remember right, the Founders Edition 1080 has 11 gig of VRAM, which again, they're actually saying now that VRAM is more important than frames per second, because a lot of the new AAA titles absolutely eat VRAM for breakfast. So, then again, it changes on the blink of an eye, doesn't it? Depending on who you watch and what their opinion is. But it is fascinating, and as I've got a complete lack of interest at the minute in Linux or anything else, it gives me something to do. It keeps me out of trouble. So I think people who have got already, you know, 4090s or 3060s, if they're really happy with them, then why would you change it on, you know? And as I say, there's so many use cases where nVidia is better than AMD. You know, nVidia is the #1 choice if you use an Adobe Premiere, whereas if you're using DaVinci Resolve, well, AMD is ahead of nVidia, so it's 6 or 1/2 a dozen of the other, isn't it? But as I say, as I've never really gone into hardware, I've always just bummed by with the lowest common denominator, whereas now I can do what the hell I like. It's a different case scenario, so.
Turn left. You have arrived at your destination. Your route guidance is now finished.
Right, okay, let's try and make this as easy as possible. Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh my God, what happened there? Excuse me, game. Cheese and freaking rice. I know what happened there, actually. I went to press the horn, and it completed the delivery for me. Chab. Oh well, such is life. Let me just see what the time is, because I've got to get ready for ours. Right, we're okay. It's 7:11. We're okay. Right, okay. Let's go ahead and have a look at our. Son of a bitch! I'm going to drop my trailer. I must have just been on this bloody green thing here when I pressed enter, because normally enter does your horn. I don't know what loads we've got out of here to and where from, so let's have a look at the freight market. 84,000 going to Seattle in Washington. £84,000 element of construction, 275 grand. I'm going to take that. 85,000. Yes, you can put my trailer back in the depot. We should be able to deal with it. Let's get the beaks on. And we do need to sleep, so we need a sleep stop. Yeah, there is one right here, beautiful, en route. We should have plenty of hours, 146 hours. And it's not going to tell me, is it? Yes, it is. Oh, 25 hours to complete the delivery for good dollar. The engine and the transmission, it's a specialised Eaton Fuller transmission. Which again is designed for grunt rather than speed, and we've got ourselves quite a nice
turn left
Cummins engine in as well, about a 600 brake, so that should have plenty of grunt in it, even though we've got a huge weight on the back. We don't need fuel, we do need to sleep though. What time is it? 3:46 PM in the afternoon. Oh, big boy.
Get ready to turn left. Turn left.
Come on, big boy, go. There you go. And it is indeed a hotel. That will do nicely. As the actress said to the bishop, we should be able to park out front and just get kit, all being well. We hope. Make sure they won't catch the arse end on anything. Come on, Bing! I know we can park up here. No, it's going to be an arsehole, of course. There we go. It's going to be an arsehole, so I'm just going to lump it and dump it right here. Yeah, that's useful, isn't it? Great parking heaps, you chab. But you just need to kip. Hey up, Michael, how you diddly doing? Yeah, I've not been on it for a while, Michael. I might start and go back on it soon. But every time I go on it, it's dead, so I've not been bothering. And to be fair, I've been doing an awful lot of real life work, but I'll start and go back on it. I'm sure Bex will go on it. Sure a few others will come on it as well. So do keep checking, Michael. Then we'll see if we can get it back up and running. So it's now 1:53 AM in the morning. Oh, you know what else I didn't do? I didn't repair the truck, did I? Chab. 4% damage on the tractor. We can actually get away with that. That's not the end of the world. The question is, can I get this the hell out of here? I'm hoping there's no blockages around this side. Oh, you can also sleep this side as well. Nice. Well, again, you know, I think we've proved the point. The PC, the game, the OS, they're really holding up well for both not only playing but streaming the game. And I have been playing it an awful lot. I've not really been playing anything else, to be honest. But now I've got the new terabyte SSD in. We can stick a couple of other games back on. I want to get my World of Warships down, my Guild Wars 2 on this little PC. And I might do a bit of NVIDIA profile inspector on those games as well. I think it'd be pretty cool on World of Warships. Be interesting to see what we can achieve. Okay, so I'm going to save it here and the live stream. Thank you all very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it. This has all been a big success. Have a great day. Much love to each and every one of you. Yeah, I always choose DirectX 11. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know why, Zeb. Anyway, have a great day. I've got to bagger off to work. Much love. I'll see you in the next one all. Thanks for your support. Cheers.